Generative AI, so ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Anthropic's Claude, they're all called large language models, okay? They're called large language models because they're built on just vast amounts of language. So ChatGPT, pretty well trained on all of the internet, as is Google Gemini. Used to be Google Bard, now Google Gemini. Why is this important when it comes to differentiating resources? Well, because it's been trained on just vast amounts of text data, it really does understand how language works. And what that means is you can take a text which is written for one reading age and transpose it into another reading age, and it does it really, really well. So what I want to do is I want to show you how to do that. Very straightforward. We're going to use Google Gemini this time, and I'm just going to give you just one quick exercise to show how you can create a resource for one age group, but then also create a similar resource, just toning the language down, and then some sort of comprehension style activities around that. So let's go and have a look now. So what I do, I'll just put an initial prompt in to Gemini, and the initial prompt is simply just that I want it to write an article, blog post article about Elon Musk and his influence and his role within social media. So you can see what I've written here, 500 word, so made it very specific. It won't ever give you 500 words, okay? It's rubbish at counting. AI just can't count. It's great with words, it's really bad with numbers, but it's going to give you an approximation. If you just say write an article, it may be quite short. If it says, if you put write 500 words, it's more likely to think, okay, so you want it to be a reasonable length. So 500 word blog post article for a 15-year-old. So I'm specifying the age group, interested in Elon Musk, focusing on social media. So you can see it's quite specific. I've tried to keep the parameters quite specific. Do not use slang or a chatty style. Do not speak down to the student or write in a way that patronizes them. Do not use exclamation marks. AI is obsessed. It's like if you're writing for any age group of child, any age group of under 18, it thinks that all they ever want to do is just to see exclamation marks. It drives me mad. But actually just say, please, it will still do it sometimes. But if you specify don't do this, it sometimes can just tone the language down a bit. The purpose of the article is to inform in an entertaining but factual way. So fair bit of information there. So let's just set it off. And it's just going to give me this initial article about Elon Musk. And I'm hoping that it will give it to me in a way that's 15-year-old friendly, but not super dumbed down. There we are. Yep, pretty much. Visionary entrepreneur, business acumen. That's pretty good. Master of controversy. I prefer Google Gemini as a writer to ChatGPT. I just find it's a better writer. It's cleaner, it's more precise, just works better. You may also want to put UK spelling if you're joining me from this side of the Atlantic. If you're in the United States, then it's fine because it's going to default to American spelling. But if you wanted to spell British UK spelling, you do need to specify that. I forgot to do that here. So you can see there, it's done that pretty well. Yeah, that's actually really not bad at all. But what I actually now want to do is I want the AI to rewrite this article for a 15-year-old with a reading age of 8. Now, this is quite helpful, okay? Because it's been trained on all this information, it kind of knows reading ages. So what it's going to do is it's going to say, right, okay, so you want the same article, the same topic, the same subject, basically the same, but I need just to take the vocabulary down. Look what I've written here. Again, no slang, no chatty style. Do not speak down to the student or write to them in a way that patronizes them. The problem that sometimes we have is that as soon as it sees 8-year-old, it immediately thinks that you're going to have to talk to them like an 8-year-old. Now, to be honest with you, I've got a son who's nearly 8, and if AI spoke to him the way it sometimes gives you its vanilla content, he'd be like, what is this nonsense? So even my 8-year-old would feel talked down to. For some reason, it just babies the language. So I'm making it quite specific. Please don't do that. Again, please don't use exclamation marks. Same again, only the language should be simplified to suit a reading age of 8. So keep the tone, keep the content, keep the ideas, just tone the language down. So hopefully what it will do is it will give me this slightly more toned down. There we are. Good. So we can see straight away, look. Famous businessman, very popular on social media, uses. So can you see that the language is totally different? It's much simpler, it's much cleaner. It's done a really good job there. But it's not, okay, there's a rogue exclamation mark. We'll let it have one. We'll let it have one exclamation mark. But you can see that it's done a pretty good job. What I also find quite helpful whenever I'm doing any kind of resource differentiation is to ask it to pick out level 2 vocabulary. So level 2 vocabulary is non-specialist but more advanced vocabulary. Okay, so it's like it's not the basic stuff, it's just the slightly more difficult words, tricky words, I suppose you'd call them. So they're popular, unique, announcers, important, fascinating, powerful. Done a pretty good job there. What I would then also do, which I think is quite a nice way of using AI in a very simple way, it's really good at creating multiple choice questions to test comprehension. It does this really, really well. So I'm just going to say, okay, now I want you to create, for this 8-year-old reading age article, just create 10 multiple choice with the answers and the explanation. Then you can just give it to the students to do. There we are. So as you can see there, it's an easy thing to do, okay? But make sure, as I said, when you're differentiating results up and down, that you're making very clear it's reading age that you're wanting to change, not chronological age. If you go for the chronological age, it is going to, frankly, baby the writing down. So if you stick to the reading age, make it very, very clear to the AI that you don't want them to talk down to the student, just change the vocabulary. It should do a pretty good job.